Hi everyone, Corey Thorne, psychic medium, spiritual healer, and empowerment life coach. I'm coming in tonight and I'm not even sure where to begin or how I'll start, other than starting with the fact that on the night after a new moon, a night of a new beginning, I believe there's something powerful and something that is about to take place, or something that is taking place already in the world of bringing peace and love in a different way. That we as people, we as a collective, are finding our way into a new light, into a new world, into something that's beyond us. And it starts with the sense of pure love. And I found myself in my own work feeling as if I've been empty, feeling as if didn't know what else there was left to give, what else there was to say. I feel like I'm repeating myself, coming to realize that the empty was clearing out the old, clearing out the past, moving things out that no longer serves us, no longer that's needed, that the desire, the need to kind of, I want to say, allow my past to define and to crucify myself even more for things that have taken place in the past, or pieces of myself that I had been at some point. And what I've come to discover, and what I'm discovering as I've come through into my meditations of tonight, and into preparing to do this video, and kind of wanting to back away from all of this and not do any more lives or any more videos, was that someone has to be a voice. And even though we have critics, and even though we have people that are hard on us, and even though we have people that are judge us, and even though we are always judging ourselves, was always judging myself, and tending to step into a place of self-sabotage more than I step into a place of my own belief in who I am and what I am. And quite very quickly to give all the credit into the channel that I know channels through me, but forgetting the value that I have and the worth that I have within myself. And it's not only just me, myself, it's what I'm feeling in the collective, is that we have been very much about self-criticizing. Let's pick out our flaws. Let's pick ourselves apart. Let's define ourselves by what's wrong with us, not what's right with us. And that if we speak up and believe and have faith, and we believe in that we're in miracles, then there's something wrong with us. Or if we believe something different than somebody else, and we're being attacked, whatever that may be, or however that may come about, is that there's still a place of fear that has been happening, that I believe there's a sense of healing that's coming around the fear. And that the belief that we're coming more into a place of oneness, a place of being together, a place of not being so judgmental. And it doesn't matter if you walk inside of a church door, if you pray by the water, if you believe in nothing, if you believe in the stars, it doesn't matter. What matters most at this point in life is that we believe that there's something beyond us that's filling us full of pure love, that's giving us a gift to actually start to believe and to open our eyes to something that's beyond this one-dimensional. That we have an ever-changing world, we have an ever-changing life that's taking place, and that we as this world have to start stepping up into a new way of believing. We might not be there to be fully there in living it, but we have to start being there in the way of believing, and believing that that there is change happening, believing that we are shifting consciousness, that we're moving into a new era, into a new time, into a new light. That something beyond us is pushing us every day, on the days when we feel like we have nothing left to push with. And I really noticed that in the past few weeks, when I've been hearing a lot about the economy, and we're suffering, and times are tough, and not gonna lie, there myself, it's like we're all there, we've all been there, and we're still that 1% of the population. If we're living in a home with a roof over our heads, we're still in that 1% of the population who has so much, and so much to be thankful for, and so much to be counting our blessings for every day, including my dog over there rolling around on the floor, who's in that 1% of the population. How many people don't have that? And we, as a collective, we who are in the place, we are in those areas that can be of change, are now being called upon to be of change in a way of not stepping in a way of just saying, oh, I feel sorry. We're here to step up in a way of finding a new way of life that takes us from being just the 1% of the population, and that more of the world gets to live this way, and that we get to find a way so that we live fairly, and we live in a peace, and finding that peace and tranquility, whatever it may be and however it's going to come, of bringing that into this world and into this place that we're now finding ourselves having no other choice but to look at and to face social media, a bigger world in the networking world of internet and global TVs and everything that's been showing us that we can see beyond, and we can see the world much bigger as we did 30, 40 years ago, when we could see such a small part and we only knew our neighborhoods and we only knew where we were. That we're not that anymore. We are beyond that. We've moved beyond that. And this is a whole part of the whole coming from shadow self, is that most of the world has been living in shadow self. We've been so caught in the shadow, in the glitz, in the glamour, in that just trying to create, trying to be, trying to put on the face, trying to show up in the world, trying to have a bigger home, trying to have the bigger truck, trying to do better, all those things that we have tried, because the more that we have that, or pushing our kids that you've got to have this university degree because this is the only way you're going to be good enough, and all those things that we have been pushing are now showing us a different way, that we don't need all the same material things. Now, there's nothing wrong with having material things, don't get me wrong, but it's about finding the balance in our material world, in our spiritual world, and in our whole world that we live in, and a whole world that we live in within ourselves. And that when we step out and we step into these places of being so quick to jump on the bandwagons, to attack, and to be in that place of, oh, we need to shut down this, and we need to do this, and this shouldn't be. How do we know? How do we know that's what's right? So in that same breath, when you're attacking, you're saying shut down, you're also saying, let's bring in poverty, let's do this, let's do that, because we have to stop, calm down, breathe, and let's look at the whole picture. Let's look at what's happening. And we're having a rumbling. We're having the root system of the world kind of fall apart, and we're having everything crumble underneath our feet, because it is teaching us, it is showing us that we have to look at things in a different light. And it's the same thing as saying, we don't go back to the emotional past. Well, we don't go back to the past of the way we used to do things either. We're not here to go backwards. We're here to excel. We're here to grow. We're here to open up a world into a new way and a new expansion. And with that comes taking the wisdom of the elders with the knowledge of the new, and we're here to bring it together and put it together to create a new. And just because things were done a certain way before doesn't mean that's how they have to stay being done, but it also doesn't mean that we have to stop using the resources that we've naturally been gifted with. It's that we have to find better ways to make it work, and that we make it work together. We're not here to attack. We're not here to be this kind of angry in a world that is meant to be of love. And if you look at the beauty that we do have, you look at the beauty in the eyes of the children that are here, if you look in the beauty of the simplicity of when a snowflake falls and not one is the same, when you look at a flower and everything is so different, we are all unique, and we were all just that same sense of pure beauty as the rest of the world, of the rest of the things that were placed here. And we're here to align to that within ourselves. And when we can start to have that mirror reflection of the beauty that's in ourselves, the beauty that's within, and not be so angry at ourselves and not be in the place of self-sabotage, we're able to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem, because we're not out in a world attacking each other, and we're not in a world of making decisions from an angry place and from a place of just trying to push out of fear. We're starting to create a world that's here to come together. And this whole phase, this whole shift, this whole changing that's taking place is taking place because it is time. And because we have to, but we also have to respect and love what we already have, and to not shut down on things that already exist that were working well, and to not to take our fears and frustrations out on the innocent, and to not take our fears and frustration out on those people in charge, and not to be so quick to jump on any bandwagon that's attacking in a way that's attacking families, no matter what power they're in, that's attacking their children, that's attacking their lives, or that's attacking anything that's in the way of calling anybody in such horrible ways. That we are here to come together, not to fall apart. And by coming together, we have to rise above. We have to go into the place of speaking and coming from our higher selves. And when we do that, when we come from our truth and from our higher self, we stop living our lives as if we are frauding ourselves. And when I have been faced myself with those words, when I have had to hear those words, and my heart has sunk, and I have sat in my sadness and in my pain of having the thought that if someone thought that of me, how horrible of a person must I be? It made me face my realities, and it made me face who I was becoming, how I want to be seen, and do I ever want to speak from a place of anger and fear? And no, I do not. And no, and neither should you. We need to come from a place that's of pure love. And when we do, we can open our hearts, and we can clear our hearts, and we can make room in our hearts to start to listen to each other. The yelling and screaming is not getting anyone anywhere. When we start to be able to come together like this, we start to put an end to some of the problems, because it is about the baby steps. It's about the little steps. It's about staying above stepping into the vibration of the problem and looking at the light of what a solution can be and what a healthy, happy solution can be. And when we get there, when we can finally achieve a little tiny piece of this, we may be years, we may be centuries before we can ever see this come to full light. But you get to be the beginning. You get to be the start of a change that starts with having compassion for yourself, love for yourself, having compassion for friends and neighbors and for those who walk before you, and to have love and kind words for those that are around you. Because when you can find that, and you can start to live that, you will be the ripple effect of what changes are about to happen in a world that's ready to shift, and a world that's ready to change. And you don't have to believe what somebody else believes. You don't have to have the same faith, but you do have to have faith. And when we have a faith, we have hope. And when we have hope, we have optimism. And when we have optimism, we have change. And when we have all of this all put together in one, and we have one person who starts, and then we have two, and then we have 1,000, and then we have 10,000, and we have 20,000. When we do this, we will see the ripple effects make the changes that need to take place. And it will not be an angry change. It will be a change. It will be a change of love. And it will be change that will be taking place in the way that we are being asked to do now, and that we are being asked to bring to light. And as you find yourself finding more love in your heart, you're going to find yourself asking, how can I be? How can I be a part of the change? How can I be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem? And when you find yourself there, you find yourself rising back out of the shadow, rising out of the shadow that we have placed ourselves in, when we start to beat ourselves up, when we start to live as the unauthentic self, and that when we're living in that fraud of ourselves, which is the shadow of ourselves, because we speak from a place that's angry, we behave from a place that's not us. And when we move forward and we can move past that, we walk into the light of our true self, which is the story, the book, everything around a lot of the work that I have been bringing to life, and that has been awakening within me, which is that power of more than existing. And when we become a world that's more than existing, we become a world of change. And then we remember that the family we have is the family of this earth. And that we are all family. We are all one. We are all a collective. We all join together. And we all become part of a family that's supporting the healing of a world that needs healing more than ever. And as you find yourself in a place of, I was just going to put this card down, like, I don't know how to say this, but I do know how to say this, of a marriage, that we marriage together, that we join, that we make a commitment, that we make commitments to the relationships that are in our lives, all of them, that we make a commitment to have healthy relationships that are filled with love and light. And that if they're not healthy relationships, that we make the choice to step aside, create the boundaries, and pray for love to come to those that are not seeing the love in themselves. And also not seeing the love in the world until they do, and then opening the gates and opening the door to allow them back into our hearts. And that everyone, no matter who they are, somewhere in their heart there was a child that was born of love. There was a spirit that arrived of pure love. And whatever life had done, whatever life had given them, had made them not see the love and light in themselves, that somewhere in there was a pure source. And coming back around, hopefully someday they get to see that somewhere. And we as a world start to find that within ourselves. As we start to find the kindness and compassion, as we show gratitude and thanks for what we do have, and for us that are fortunate to be living in this 1%. Even if we're struggling to make rent, that we live in this 1%. And because we're in that 1%, that we're making a choice to step up into a world to try to make this a larger percent that are living healthier, whole lives. And when we do that, we find ourselves coming to life and having self-respect and having the courage to be strong enough to say, I have been frauding myself, and I have been living unauthentic, and I have been living in my shadow self, and I am making a choice to step forward, and I'm making a choice to step into my light, and I'm making a choice to be a part of the solutions in the world instead of a part of the problems in the world. And when we get there, when we find that place, we are finding ourselves living in a world that we're ready to walk in grace, walk in our own beauty, and to find beauty in everything in this world. And to find beauty with everyone in this world. Everyone has a little spot of light. And I hope with time that us finding a little spot of light in us helps others find a little spot of light in themselves. And that the world finds an even bigger light. And that the world finds a healing. And that we find a healing that's about to change. And to make the changes in the world that are now rippling and taking effect, and that something is changing in such a big, beautiful way, that the lives that need healing, and the people that are going through difficult times and challenging times, that there's some sort of miracle healing, some sort of miracles that come into their lives, some sort of blessings that help people through. And you may just be that blessing with a kind word. You may just be that person. So choose compassion, kindness, and love as you step out into this world, and find it for yourself. And when you find it for yourself, you find it for the world. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for being a part of my world. And I look forward to having many more sessions with you. And remember, living in your true self has a lot more light than continue to struggle through being crucified in the shadow self. Make a choice to step into your light and into your true self. Have a wonderful evening. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.